All right, guys, back again. I was just thinking about, something during my workout, and I know I talked about this yesterday on Raphael Dawkins' show, and I was kind of going back and forth on a lot of things because this isn't even about which side is right, which side is wrong, which side you believe is, doing the right thing here. Which side you think is doing the right thing ethically, morally, money-wise, whatever. Everyone's going to have their personal opinions, and it's not too many people who are kind of in between here. Most people are either on Ruiz's side or they're on Joshua's side. And I get it, and you can make an argument. You can make an argument to, well, this isn't about a debate about Ralphie. I said that I was on his show yesterday, and, he made some good points, and I agree. Stop coming on here trying to start shit because it's not what this is about. Thank you for fucking up my flow, first thing. But anyways, getting back to what I said, no problem. Apology accepted. Get back to what I was saying here. I was thinking about this whole situation, and I'm saying to myself, I understand, Hearn is within his rights to choose the venue, and Saudi technically is neutral. It's not either fighter's hometown. It's not where they're from. It's not where they usually fight or whatever. Neither fighter ever fought there, so it is kind of it is a neutral venue, even though some people say Joshua's from that area, like not from that area, but has a lot of connections in that area and spends a lot of time in that area, during the vacation times of his downtime. But my question is, Manny Robles was doing an interview on Barbershop, clarified one of the points he made about women not being able to go there. Eddie Hearn clarified that yes, women can go to the fight. So that was one point that Manny Robles brought up. But one point that he also brought up was about there being no commission there. So I did a little bit of research, and I know people talked about how there's been other events in Saudi Arabia, and the most recent boxing event that they had over there was with Amir Khan and Billy Dibb. So I went and looked at that event. I pulled it up on BoxRec, and I actually tweeted it out this morning. That bout was listed as unsanctioned. So I don't believe that Saudi does have a boxing commission. And there are some states in in America that don't have boxing commissions, like Delaware. I believe Wyoming doesn't have one, and I know for sure Alaska does not have one. So whenever there's an event in those states, they just use a neighboring commission. So that bout with Amir Khan was unsanctioned. I highly doubt that this fight will be unsanctioned, given the fact that the magnitude of this event. So I'm wondering what commission or what board of boxing control or whatever will they bring in for this fight? Will they bring in the BBC? I'm pretty sure they're not going to bring in anyone from America to be the commission or oversee this fight. I'm not sure if it'll be the ABC, the American boxing jurisdiction over this fight. So because Amir Khan's fight wasn't even sanctioned, we know this fight will definitely be sanctioned. So the question is, who's going to sanction it? And does Eddie Hearn have in the contract that he has control over that as well? Who sanctions the bout in terms of commission? I mean, obviously the sanctioning bodies will be there as well. They'll, the belts that Ruiz holds, but you still need a commission. You still need, not just governing bodies to be involved, but you need a commission. And we don't know about the drug testing as well. That's correct, Jim. So there's a lot of loose ends to tie up here. And also, too, they're building a stadium. So you're going to be going into uncharted territories. You're going to be putting up a stadium for the first time and opening it up with this event. So my whole thing is this, it's like, for a fight of this magnitude, wouldn't you want to have all your I's dotted and all your T's crossed? You know, you're doing a lot of things for the first time in this situation. Like, I know there's been other events over there. People talk about WWE, there's concerts, and even Amir Khan fought over there recently. But has there ever been a boxing match of this magnitude over there right now? This is like big time boxing. This is different than having Janet Jackson singing over there. This is different than having WWE over there, which isn't you know, considered a real sport. It's entertainment. So it's great that you had entertainment over there, but you never had a fight of this magnitude over here. So would it make sense to put a fight of, you know, in a place that doesn't have experience dealing with you know, with a fight this large? If this is a situation where you don't want any hiccups, you know, if the stadium is being constructed, what if there's a problem with the construction? What if the construction gets delayed? What if there's a hiccup in the road when it comes to the construction of the stadium? Okay, so that's an issue, and the fact of deciding who's going to be the commission in charge, if it's going to be the BBC or if it's going to be a surrounding commission from the country. Does Eddie Hearn have control over that? These are all concerns, legitimate concerns from Team Ruiz. You know, so I understand the issue of the reluctance to go over there to a certain degree when you look at it from that perspective. So they don't have a boxing commission. They've never held a fight of this magnitude. The stadium isn't even built yet. Okay? So they're just doing it seems to me like Eddie Hearn is taking a lot of risks for a fight that really can't afford to have any hiccups, really can't afford to have any mishaps. This is a situation where you want to go and you want to, you know, stage this event and have no concern about what's going to happen down the road. You want to be able to just set this fight up, put it in a place that's used to doing these types of events. You know, this isn't the time to try something new to go smoothly for this fight. You don't want there to be any controversy whatsoever. So now, you know, if there's going to be controversy about the commission, there's going to be controversy about the drug testing, and if there's going to be controversy about people feeling safe going over there, and if that's going to hurt, you know, if that's going to hurt the potential situation where UK people aren't going to want to go over there. Obviously, I don't see many United States people wanting to go over there. I know a lot of people have already said they're not going over there. It's there as possible. In other words, because they're going to have this fight over there, is it going to hurt? Is it going to hurt the popularity of the event? Is it going to hurt the participation of the press being involved in this event? And already there's the cries for the human rights issues going against Saudi Arabia. So again, you know, I'm not saying that you can't stage events over there, but is this the type of event that you want to stage over there? Fight of this magnitude that deserves to have everything go right, that deserves to be in a perfect situation. You want the best case scenario and the best possible situation and setup for a fight like this. You don't want to leave anything to chance, and you don't want to try something new in an event like this. This isn't the type of event you want to gamble with, in my opinion. And again, if this does go to litigation, as I said before, both sides lose here. It's not just this is bad for one side, this is bad for the other. This guy signed a contract. Again, there's a lot of loose ends to tie up here, and just by signing a rematch clause doesn't automatically tie up those loose ends that we have right here. That's what people don't understand. And Andy Ruiz, to my knowledge, and giving what he has said and what his trainer Manny Robles has said, has not signed an official contract for the second fight. And I don't even believe that a second contract has been drawn up for the second fight. Because if questions still have to be answered, then you can't draw up a contract with not having that clarity from both sides to have an understanding of what's going to go on. So if they don't know who's going to do the drug testing protocol, they don't know who's going to be the commission or who's going to take the responsibility of being the commission for this venue in this area, then how could they draw up a contract? So just because, you know, he signed a rematch clause, again, we keep repeating ourselves here, I don't think people understand the situation. I don't think people understand the situation fully. They're trying to make it black and white when there is a shit ton of gray area here. And even people from the UK aren't happy about this fight being in Saudi Arabia, but then they still say, okay, well, Eddie's in charge, Eddie can do this, Eddie can do that. So regardless, like if Eddie decided to put this fight in a bottomless pit, like you guys still wouldn't have a problem with it because Eddie said it. Like you got to look at it objectively and take Eddie out of the equation and just look at the situation. Is this the right place to put a fight? You know, is this the most optimum place? Does this have the most optimum conditions for there to be a heavyweight championship fight, which is the biggest fight of the year, a fight of this magnitude? Do you want to gamble and throw it there with so much uncertainties? Would you rather eliminate all these uncertainties and go to a place like New York or go to a place like Vegas? And you can do, I mean, even if you even have a strong argument to put the fight in Cardiff before putting it in Saudi Arabia. But once again, you know, if we want to go back to the money, I still think the United States will provide the most money for a fight like this. But again, take the money out of the equation, Cardiff is still a good choice. But then Andrew Ruiz will always have that argument about what happened with Dillian White. So there's a lot of things here that Ruiz can use in his defense, whether or not people are, you know, believe that those are relevant excuses, which I think some of them are. I think a judge will listen to that. A U.S. judge will listen to it, because I know that this would be in U.S. court because this fight was in the United States. And if you look at the ring for the fight, it said Matchroom USA on the ring. It didn't say Matchroom. So Eddie does have offices here in New York. So it would only make sense, since he's been doing business in New York recently, been doing business in the United States, doing a lot of United States cards, and he specifically opened up an office in New York for that very reason. It would be safe to assume that this contract was drawn up on American soil. It would only make sense to assume that. And if that's the case, given that this fight was in America, this would have to fall under the United States Supreme Court. And we all know that there's a lot of politics involved in the United States Supreme Court. So by Ruiz mentioning his concerns about going to Saudi Arabia, those things will definitely be listened to and will be looked upon with possibly some validity in front of a U.S. Supreme Court judge. So objectively speaking, you know, whether you're on Team Ruiz's side or you're on Team Joshua's side, and take the because Eddie says so defense out of the equation, and just look at it objectively. Do you believe that this is the best place to stage this fight, a fight of this magnitude? And does it make sense to put this fight in Saudi Arabia, given all those things that Ruiz mentioned, things that I just mentioned, and everyone's concerns here as a whole? Does it make sense to put this fight in Saudi Arabia? I'm going to say probably not. I think that they could have definitely put this fight in different place in the world. I still say they should have put it in Canada, in the Bell Center, because according to Eddie, money's not an object. Obviously, I don't want to lose money, but making the fight the biggest that they can financially isn't the concern here. The concern is getting Joshua the belt back so he could be a viable force once again in the heavyweight division. And then the money comes later down the road with potential fights with Wilder and Fury. But if he doesn't get those belts back, then those fights with Wilder and Fury really don't make sense at this point. It's to be as big as they possibly can if there are no titles on Joshua's side being brought to the table, because those guys will just look to fight whoever has those belts as opposed to fighting Joshua. We already see what Fury's doing with his opposition. The same thing with Deontay Wilder. No one really cares about Joshua anymore, or at least Fury and Wilder don't, because he's not the champ anymore. So in order for him to be cared about by these other guys who can present big money fights, he still needs to get those belts back. So worst case scenario, if this does go to litigation, this is bad for both sides. Now, does Joshua have more money in the bank? Can he afford to not fight? Probably so, because he has endorsements and all that. Andy Ruiz definitely would take a bigger financial hit here because he doesn't have the bank account. But like I said, he's been there before. Let's see what happens. He's got a lot of people around him that care about him, and that would help him out and take care of him. They've done it before when he was down and out. Andy Robles was there for him. Al Heyman was there for him. So let's see what happens here. And let's be honest and really ask ourselves, is this the best place to put this fight, given the fact that there's no commission over there, given the fact that they've never done an event this big over there, and given the fact that you could talk about the entertainment all you want, but this is an event that has judging involved, has refereeing involved. This is a legitimate event that people are going to be betting on, and the magnitude of this fight will change each fighter's lives. The impact that this fight will have on each fighter's lives is monumental. This is a big deal. It's not, you can't compare this event to anything that has been brought over there in the past. And at least these other events were staged, in a stadium that was already constructed. They don't even have a stadium constructed for this event, and they're still waiting to have this stadium constructed. And it was so 3 months, a stadium like house. I mean, would you be concerned about them rushing to build a stadium? Is that a concern? The quality of the stadium, the structure of the stadium. So these are all questions that have to be answered here. And Team Ruiz and Manny Robles, he voiced concerns about these things on Barbershop Conversations video yesterday. And I'm going to put a link to Barbershop Conversations video in the description box when I get through with this workout and I go home, because I want to give him credit, because that was a very revealing interview, and we got to give him credit for that interview, because he got a lot of information, and that was a very well done interview. You got to give credit where credit is due, whether you like or dislike Barbershop Conversations. He did a good job on that interview, and it was very revealing, and it was very helpful. And because I listened to that video, it made me give a second thought to a lot of things here, because I've been going back and forth on this, and it's just it's hard to clearly say one side's right and one side's wrong here, because I understand both sides of the argument. But at the end of the day, does Eddie Hearn have to bite off his nose to spite the rest of his face? Is this just a move? Once again, like I said yesterday, it's about power. It's about control. So when you're drunk with power and you're obsessed with power and control, a lot of times that clouds your judgment, clouds your ability to make logical decisions. And by putting a fight in Saudi Arabia of this magnitude, and I hate to keep repeating myself, but I have to, because I'm trying to hammer this point home, does this make sense in the grand scheme of things? Taking everything out of the equation, is this the optimum place to put a boxing match that has never had a fight of this magnitude, that doesn't have a boxing commission, and The stadium is not even created yet. So there's so much being left to the unknown here. Is it worth the gamble? You guys let me know what your opinion is. We're going to have Michael Montero on the show later this evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'd love to hear his opinion on this. I'm sure he's going to have a lot to say about it. And I hope you guys all join us tonight at 7, because we want to hear your opinions. Call in and voice your opinions and tell me if some of these points that I brought to the table here have legitimacy. Let me know what you guys think. I'm curious to see what you guys think. So shout out to everybody in the chat joining me first thing this morning. I appreciate it. And please let me know in the comment section what you think about if this fight, answer the question for me, if this fight makes sense to be put in Saudi Arabia. Is it the best possible venue for a fight of this magnitude? Thank you once again, and peace out. Have a great day. Talk to y'all soon. See you tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you so much.